right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dowell. Probably one of the most, first and foremost questions that I receive more than anything is how to establish a community. So I've decided, while I'm meditating and thinking on this particular subject right here, while I am here in Dallas, Texas for a few days, I decided to actually make a video series on it. Because we all can see the economic uncertainty that is going on. And of course, you know, it's inevitable that you're going to have to either stack up and move with family members who you definitely would not want to be around, especially if you're in the faith. There are a lot of people who who are claiming to be Israelites, or they say that they believe in Jesus, yet they will not live one bit of his lifestyle whatsoever at all. It's hard to miss the fact that the Israelites were farmers. They were shepherd people. They were not city dwellers. They often went into the city to conduct business. Sometimes when they were in captivities, they were in cities, but when they had the opportunity, they would move out to where more freedom and liberty is afforded to them, off into what we call the country today. They would go into the cities to minister to people, but they did not live there and make their dwelling place there. You had a few people who, when they understood the word and understood what has gone on, they wouldn't stay in those cities. And that's why it's hard for me to understand how that people can read the Bible and just literally not do it. Now, I understand that there are different philosophies, different perspectives, different religions out there in this world today, that they will all twist, warp, distort, and pervert the Bible to say something other than what it's intended on saying. And of course, you know, myself being a pastor, doing everything that I can to actually be obedient to the word, to follow it to a T, as revelation is revealed to me. I have no shortage of critics out there who have no testimony, who have not, as the old proverbial saying goes, not even walked a tenth of a mile in my shoes, who have not experienced the things that I experience, and yet and still they fancy themselves as being judges, which I will not allow them to be any judges of me whatsoever at all. But doing a community or being in a community is not for the faint-hearted. There are a lot of people that come to Straightway and they see the benefits. They see not only the benefits, but they see the blessings of being on a community. But I'm going to give you a couple of real live examples right here to let you understand the type of person and the type of family you need to be before ever even considering a community. Because, you know, everybody has different beliefs, ideals, theology, ideologies, and nobody wants to be obedient today. You know, everybody seems to think that they have all the answers. It's amazing what religion does to the mind of people. Let me use a couple of live examples of my own self. I'm just going to use three particular training sessions where when I submitted and I signed my name into these training sessions, they already had people in place to tell me, to instruct me what to do. They also had a system in place to test and try my heart, my mind, and my spirit to see if I wanted to be there. Because, you know, you cannot be in certain places, in particular places, and then decide that you're going to quit, or decide that you're going to go crazy, nuts, or schizo when you're in an environment that requires all of your attention undivided. The United States Army has a thing called boot camp, basic training. And they figured that it'll take you 8 weeks to take someone to transform them from being a civilian to a soldier. I.e., it takes a little while to take people from being Christians. You know, if you've been influenced by Christianity, if you're brand new into becoming an Israelite, it takes a little while. It takes time for you to make the transformation up here in the mind. Now, understand this. Everybody is not trying to make that transformation, nor are they willing to make that transformation. Most people want to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. They want to enjoy everything that this life has to offer, but they do not want to work for it at all. So there were many people in boot camp who did a lot of whining and complaining, but they didn't last long. When we graduated, we had a sense of accomplishment that we have accomplished something. We were transformed from civilians to soldiers. Um, and we were put in a lot of stressful situations. We were screamed at, hollered at, most of you out there who are soldiers, you know exactly what you went through. But it's amazing how that when we come into the faith, people act like that they do not have to receive any instruction. They act like that they don't have to be told what to do or how to do it. They just assume by living and breathing here in this world, in this earth, that they understand everything that there is to know about humanity, to know about community, even though they have no testimony. They haven't even lived here. You know, I've got 16 years of being in the community and living in the community and being the head of a community under my belt. So that means I have a lot of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that most people just simply do not have. It means I've experienced a lot of things, especially when it comes to dealing with a diverse group of humanity or humans. Another school that I went to was the United States Army Airborne School. And there was a lot of people in that school. And I saw many people, hundreds of people drop out and quit in that school. Of course, now the Army had it they've already had a system in place to where they were going to test you at this next level of training to see if you really truly wanted to be there. You still got hollered at, you still got screamed at, you got made to do things, you were told to do things that you normally wouldn't have done in the civilian sector. But see, the difference was mine. You already had your mind made up that you were going to accomplish and you were going to finish this course. Most people, you know, they were under delusion, some type of an illusion. When they volunteered to go to jump school, they had maybe some preconceived ideas or notions, something in their mind that told them that it was going to be like this or be like that. And when it did not meet their expectations, they quit. That was an option, to quit. And they wanted you to quit because if you really truly didn't want to be there, they did not want anybody in their aircraft jeopardizing another one of their fellow soldiers when you refuse to have your mind made up and refuse to have attention to detail. So therefore, there's a lot of people in this world that's just simply not disciplined enough to be trained, to be educated, and have their mind literally made up to do community. Now, mind you, I have a lot of critics, but it's amazing. I don't see the world out there judging the United States Army Airborne School. I do not see anybody out there judging the way they treat soldiers in boot camp. Now, I'm an old school boot camper where they was not cordial, nor were they very nice or kind to you. But the world doesn't judge that. You want to talking about indecencies. You want to talking about being called everything but a human being. The insults and the indignities that you have to endure going through this and stuff. I'm amazed how that the world never says anything about it. Never. There's never an investigation that goes on. The world never scrutinizes. They just accept it because you're volunteering to be a soldier. But as soon as you decide to stop religion and walk in the faith, all of a sudden you have all these critics and judges, again, who have no testimony. So anyway, there were a lot of people that just simply could not make it because they did not have their mind made up from inception. Well, a little bit later on, I went to the United States Army Airborne School in Camp Gruber, Oklahoma, which the U.S. Army Times had already did an article saying it was the toughest air assault school in all of the United States Army, and I agree with them. I think during that cycle, there was only 60-something of us graduated. Not one female passed that air assault course, not a one. They were out within, I think, 99% of them was out the first day, and the second day just finished off the rest of them. And then, of course, there were many. It was like maybe 200 or 300 people that were slotted for this school, but only 60-something of us graduated, and that was it, as far as my memory serves me. My mind already understood that I volunteered for the school, number one. And number two, I was not going to quit because I'm not a quitter, and I was going to see it through. And number three, I realized that it was going to be tough, very tough. Now, one thing uniquely about the United States Army Airborne School Air Assault School, is that not only do you go through real tough training, in some of these schools they call it Hell Week, but you also had to have your mind acutely aware of swing loading. You had tests to take, written tests you had to take along with physical activity. then you had to actually learn how to rappel out of the helicopter, the whole 9 yards. And so, but there were a lot of people that simply just flat out quit that course simply because they did not have what it takes. So I thought I'd use a little bit of my life experiences to explain that. And simply, there are, people today are just too undisciplined, too lethargic, too lazy, too apathetic, too complacent, too spoiled, and the entitlement mentality that this country produces is really satanic to the core. So most people, even though they may look at a community and they may see that this is something that they want to do, they just don't have their mind made up to do it, and neither do they have the integrity or heart or discipline to see it through or carry through, and much less to actually be obedient and be in submission to a higher authority. We'll call this part 1, and I'll come back a little bit later on, don't know when, in the community series. Shalom, y'all have a good day.